This video is a tribute to Dr. BR Ambedkar, who was the chairman of the drafting committee and who gave a big contribution in making the Indian Constitution. He was also worked for equity for untouchables in this society. In his time and before his time also, backward caste people are treated miserably. So he fought against all the odds and gave equal rights to everyone. So this video is about him. Let us begin. Dr. Ambedkar was born on 14th April 1891 and took his last breath on 6th December 1956. He was an Indian jurist, economist, social reformer, and political leader who headed the committee drafting the Constitution of India from the Constituent Assembly debates, served as law and justice minister in the first cabinet of Jawaharlal Nehru's, and inspired the Dalit Buddhist movement after renouncing Hinduism. Born at BR Sakpal, Mao, Central Indian Agency, British India, now known as Madhya Pradesh. Died 6th December 1956 at the age of 65, New Delhi, India. Resting place, Chatya Bhumi. Political party, Independent Labour Party, Scheduled Castes Federation. Other political affiliations, Republican Party of India. Spouses, Ramabai Ambedkar, married at 1906, died 1935. Savita Ambedkar, married 1946. Children, Yashwant, education, University of Mumbai, BA, MA, Columbia University, MA, PhD, London School of Economics, MSc and DSc. Profession, jurist, economist, politician, social reformer, writer. Awards, Bharat Ratna. Posthumous. He was the 14th and last child of Ramji Maloji Sakpal, an army officer who held the rank of Subedar, and Bhimabai Sakpal, daughter of Lakshman Murbatkar. Ambedkar was born into a Marhar Dalit caste who were treated as untouchables and subjected to socio-economic discrimination. Although they attended school, Ambedkar and other untouchable children were segregated and given little attention or help by teachers. They were not allowed to sit inside the class when they needed to drink water. Someone from a higher caste had to pour that water from a height, as they were not allowed to touch either the water or the vessel that contained it. This task was usually performed for the young Ambedkar by the school peon, and if the peon was not available, then he had to go without water. He described the situation later in his writings as no peon, no water. He was required to sit on a gunny sack, which he had to take home with him. His original surname was Sakpal, but his father registered his name as Ambedkar in school, meaning he comes from his native village Ambedkar in Ratnagiri district. His Marathi Brahmin teacher Krishna G. Keshav Ambedkar changed his surname from Ambedkar to his own surname Ambedkar in school records. In 1897, Ambedkar's family moved to Mumbai, where Ambedkar became the only untouchable enrolled at Elphinstone High School. In 1906, when he was about 15 years old, he married a 9-year-old girl, Ramabai. The match was arranged by the couple's parents in accordance with prevailing custom at that time. In 1907, he passed his matriculation examination, and in the following year, he entered Elphinstone College, which was affiliated to the University of Bombay, becoming, according to him, the first from his Mahar caste to do SOBY in 1912. He obtained his degree in economics and political science from Bombay University and prepared to take up employment with the Baroda state government. His wife had just moved his young family and started work when he had to quickly return to Mumbai to see his ailing father, who died on 2nd February 1913. In 1913, at the age of 22, Ambedkar was awarded a Baroda State Scholarship of Pound 11.50 in sterling per month for 3 years under a scheme established by Sayaji Rao Gaikwad III, who was the Gaikwad of Baroda, that was designed to provide opportunities for postgraduate education at Columbia University in New York City. He passed his MA exam in June 1915, majoring in economics and other subjects of sociology, history, philosophy, and anthropology. He presented a thesis in ancient Indian commerce. Ambedkar was influenced by John Dewey and his work on democracy. In 1916, he completed his second master's thesis on National Dividend of India, a historic and analytical study, for a second MA. On 9th May, he presented the paper Caste of India. There in October 1916, he enrolled for the bar course at Grace Inn. and at the same time enrolled at the London School of Economics, where he started working on a doctoral thesis. In June 1917, he returned to India because his scholarship from Baroda ended. Completed a master's degree in 1921. His thesis was on the problem of the rupee, its origin and its solution. In 1923, he completed a DSc in economics, which was awarded from University of London, and the same year he was called to the bar by Grace Inn. Ambedkar received his PhD degree at economics at Columbia in 1927. The rich treat Dr. Ambedkar as their god because he helped them a lot. The major contribution by Dr. Ambedkar was helping Dalits to get equal authority, status, and respect in the society as others. He himself had faced a lot of injustice in his life. His education journey was not much easier than others. After independence, Dalits were treated as untouchable. They were facing a lot of discrimination everywhere. Dr. Baba Sahib Ambedkar came ahead and fought for them and got Dalits their equal rights and freedom as others. He is commonly known as Baba Sahib and was the first Minister of Justice of India. He was a legal scholar, a politician, and a social reformer. Dr. BR Ambedkar was a major activist and social reformer who devoted his whole life to working for the Dalits and uplifting the socially backward class of India. Ambedkar stocked his library with more than 50,000 books. Instead of that, he was the first Indian to pursue a doctorate degree in economics abroad and is popularly known as the symbol of knowledge and the sign of information. He began movements and marches to open drinking water resources for all people, not just for higher class people. He started movements to give equal rights to untouchables to enter into temples and worship God. In 1927, he led thousands of followers to burn copies of Manusmriti, and many mothers have other tasks to cut down this evil from Indian society. Though his social movement, he wanted to instill in his own mind the idea of uncontrollable self-esteem, self-confidence, and self-esteem. Therefore, his movement is often referred to as the self-respect movement. Began movements and marches to open drinking water resources for all people, not just for higher Indian class people. He was appointed as military secretary to the Gaikwad but had to quit in a short time. He described the incident in his autobiography, Waiting for a Visa. Thereafter, he tried to find ways to make a living for his growing family. He worked as a private tutor, as an accountant, and established an investment counseling business. But it failed when his clients learned that he was untestable. In 1918, he became professor of political economy in the Sydenham College of Commerce and Economics in Mumbai. Although he was successful with the students, other professors objected to his sharing a drinking water jug with them. Ambedkar had been invited to testify before the South Borong Committee, which was preparing the Government of India Act 1919. At this hearing, Ambedkar argued for creating separate electorates and reservations for untouchables and other religion communities. Ambedkar went on to work as a legal professional. In 1926, he successfully defended 3 non-Brahmin leaders who had accused the Brahmin community of running India and were then subsequently sued for libel. While practicing law in the Mumbai High Court, he tried to promote education to untouchables and uplift them. His first organized attempt was his establishment of the central institution Bahishkrit Itar Karini Sabha, intended to promote education and socio-economic improvement, as well as the welfare of outcasts, at the time referred to as depressed people, for the defense of Dalit rights. He started many periodicals like Muk Nayak, Bahishkrit Bharat, and Equality Janta. He was appointed to the Bombay Presidency Committee to work with all European Simon Commission in 1925. Thus, annually on 25th December is celebrated as Manusmriti Dahan Din, which means Manusmriti Burning Day, by Ambedkarites, and the procession was headed by the military band and a batch of scouts. Women and men walked with displayed order and determination to see the god for the first time. When they reached the gates were closed by Brahmin authorities. The Ritins in 1930, Ambedkar launched the Kalaram Temple movement. After 3 months of preparation, about 15,000 volunteers assembled at Kalaram Temple Satyagraha, making one of the greatest processions of Nastik. He was a legal scholar, a politician, and a social reformer. BR Ambedkar was a major activist and social reformer who devoted his entire life to working for the Dalits and uplifting the socially backward class of Indians. Ambedkar, for him, the lack of education for women was the biggest problem in Indian society. He blamed Brahminism for the misery of Indian women, was an education-hungry role model for activists with MA, PhD, MSc, DSc, barrister at law, LLD, DRT, and many more educational qualifications. In total, he had 36 degrees and diplomas. Higher education was implemented when the constitution is discussion of maternity benefits and birth criticality was highly relevant to recognizing the dignity of women. He enthusiastically supported the maternity method, stipulated the right to education. Article 45 of the Constitution of India describes compulsory education for children. Dr. Ambedkar's deep concern about the status of women in society was clearly reflected in the Hindu Code Bill. It showed a chapter on gender equality and justice, along with an escape from ancient orthodox law. The bill was intended to give women absolute rights to all properties. In 1932, the British colonial government announced the formation of a separate electorate for depressed classes in the communal award. Mahatma Gandhi fiercely opposed a separate electorate for untouchables, saying he feared that such an arrangement would divide the Hindu community. Gandhi protested by fasting while imprisoned in the Jerwada Central Jail of Pune. Following the fast, congressional politicians and activists such as Madan Mohan Malaviya and Palvankar Balu organized joint meetings with Ambedkar and his supporters at Yerwada on 25th September 1932. The agreement known as Pune Act was signed between Ambedkar on behalf of the depressed classes among Hindus and Madan Mohan Malaviya on behalf of the other Hindus. The agreement gave reserved seats for the depressed classes in the provincial legislatures within the general electorate. Due to the pact, the depressed class received 148 seats in the legislature instead of the 71, as allocated in the communal award proposed earlier by the colonial government under Prime Minister Ramsay MacDonald. The text used the term depressed classes to denote untouchables among Hindus who were later called scheduled caste and scheduled tribes under the Indian Act 1935 and the later Indian Constitution of 1950. In the Pune Pact, a unified electorate was in principle formed, but primary and secondary elections allowed untouchables in practice to choose their own candidates. In 1935, Ambedkar was appointed principal of the Government Law College, Bombay, a position he held for 2 years. He also served as a chairman of governing body of Ramsay College, University of Delhi. His wife, Ramabai, died after a long illness the same year. It had been a long-standing wish to go on a pilgrimage to Pandharpur, but Ambedkar refused to let her go, telling her that he would create a new Pandharpur for her instead of Hinduism's Pandharpur, which treated them as untouchables. At the Ayola Conversion Conference on 13th October in Nashik, in 1936, Ambedkar founded the Independent Labour Party, which contested the 1937 Bombay elections to the Central Legislative Assembly for the 13 reserved and 4 gender seats and secured 11 and 3 seats respectively. Ambedkar announced his intention to convert to a different religion and exhorted his followers to leave Hinduism. Ambedkar published this book, Annihilation of Caste, on 15th May 1936. It strongly criticized Hindu Orthodox religious leaders and the caste system in general, and included a rebook of Gandhi on this subject. Later, in a 1955 interview, he accused Gandhi of writing in opposition of the caste system in English language papers, by writing in support of it in Gujarati language papers. In his writings, Ambedkar also accused Jawaharlal Nehru of being conscious of the fact that he is a Brahmin. After the Lahore Resolution in 1940 of the Muslim League demanding Pakistan, Ambedkar wrote an underpage tract titled Thoughts on Pakistan, which analyzed the concept of Pakistan in all its aspects. Ambedkar argued that the Hindus should concede Pakistan to the Muslims. He proposed that the conventional boundaries of Punjab and Bengal should be redrawn to separate the Muslim and non-Muslim majority Pachi. Thought the Muslims could have no objection to redrawing provisional boundaries. In his work over the Shudras, Ambedkar tried to explain the formation of untouchables. He saw Shudras and its Ati Shudras, who form the lowest caste in the ritual hierarchy of the caste system, as separate from untouchables. Ambedkar oversaw the transformation of his political party into a scheduled caste federation. He did not fare well in the 1946 provincial elections, but in Bengal, it managed to elect Ambedkar to the Constituent Assembly of India by winning support from Congress legislatures. Jagjeevan Ram's wife, Indrani Jagjeevan Ram, wrote in her memoir that Ambedkar persuaded her husband to ask Mahatma Gandhi for his inclusions of Nehru's cabinet in independent India. Initially, Jagjeevan Ram consulted Vallabhbhai Patel before asking Gandhi to recommend Ambedkar to Nehru's for inclusion in cabinet, adding that Ambedkar had given up his antagonism to Congress and Gandhiji. Ambedkar was ultimately included as the Law Ministry of India in the first Nehru ministry after Gandhi recommended his name to Nehru. On 27 September 1951, Ambedkar resigned from Nehru's cabinet ministry after Hindu Code Bill was defeated in Parliament. Ambedkar contested in the Bombay North first Indian general election in 1952 but lost to his former assistant and Congress party candidate Narayan Sadhoba Kajrolkar. Ambedkar became a member of Rajya Sabha probably in and An appointed member, he tried to enter Lok Sabha again in the by-election of 1954 from Bhandara, but he placed third. The Congress party won. By the time of the second general election in 1957, Ambedkar had died. Ambedkar also criticized Islamic practice in South Asia while justifying the partition of India. He condemned child marriage and the mistreatment of women in Muslim society. Upon India's independence on 15th August 1947, the new Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru invited Ambedkar to serve as the Dominion of India's Law Minister. 2 weeks later, he was appointed chairman of the drafting committee of the Constitution for the future Republic of India. Ambedkar was one of the ministers who argued for extensive economic and social rights for women and won the Assembly's support for introducing a system of reservations of jobs in the civil services, schools and colleges for members of the scheduled caste and scheduled tribes and other backward castes, and a system akin to affirmation action. India's lawmakers hope to eradicate the socio-economic inequalities and lack of opportunities for India's depressed classes through these measures. The Constitution was adopted on 26 November 1949 by the Constituent Assembly. Ambedkar expressed his disapproval for the Constitution in 1953 during a parliament session and said, "People always keep on saying to me, 'Oh, you are the maker of the Constitution.' My answer is, I was a hack. What I was asked to do, I did much against my will." Ambedkar added that, "I am quite prepared to say that I shall be the first person to burn it out. I do not want it. It does not suit anybody." He argued that industrialization and agricultural growth would enhance the Indian economy. He stressed investment in agriculture as the primary industry of India. Ambedkar advocated national economic and social development, stressing education, public hygiene, community health, residential facilities as the basic amenities. His DSc thesis, "The Problem of the Rupee, Its Origin and Solution," examines the causes for the rupee's fall in value. Ambedkar opposed income tax for low-income groups. He contributed in land revenue tax and excise duty policies to stabilize the economy. He played an important role in land reform and the state economic development. The entire country is celebrating Bharat Ratna Dr. Baba Sahib Ambedkar's 129th birthday anniversary with esteemed honor today. He always kept national interest above all, and his outlook and thought process was rooted in the culture and dharma of this land. His thoughts on nation building and guidance are invaluable. Our humble greetings on this occasion. By Suresh Joshi. Dr. Baba Sahib Ambedkar is a Yug Purush who lives in the heart and minds of crores of Indians. His life is characterized by unmatched determination and a firm commitment towards social justice. He made work as a bright lawyer, scholar, writer, and intellectual who always spoke his mind. Who can forget Dr. Ambedkar's contribution in the making of our Constitution? He served the nation and the people tirelessly and selflessly. Let us pledge to dedicate ourselves to creating the India that Dr. Ambedkar dreamt of, and India that will make him proud. By Narendra Modi ji. According to him, the caste system, due to its division of laborers and hierarchical nature, impedes movement of labor. Higher caste would not do lower caste occupations, and movement of capital, assuming investors would invest first in their own caste occupation. He advocated birth control to develop the Indian economy, and this was being adopted by Indian government as national policy for family planning. He emphasized equal rights for women for economic development. Ambedkar's first wife Ramabai died in 1935 after a long illness. After completing the draft of Indian Constitution in the late 1940s, he suffered from lack of sleep, had neuropathic pain in his leg, and was taking insulin and homeopathic medicines. He went to Bombay for treatment and there met Sharda Kabir, whom he married on 15th April 1948 at his home in New Delhi. Doctors recommended a companion who was a good cook and had medical knowledge to care for him. She adopted the name Savita Ambedkar and cared for him the rest of his life. Savita Ambedkar, who was called also Mai, died on 29th May 2003, aged 93 in Mumbai. Ambedkar considered converting to Sikhism, which encouraged opposition to depression, and so appealed to leaders of scheduled caste. But after meeting with Sikh leaders, he concluded that he might get second-rate Sikh status. Instead, around 1950s, he began devoting his attention to Buddhism and traveled to Sri Lanka to attend a meeting of the World Fellowship of Buddhists. While dedicating a new Buddhist vihara near Pune, Ambedkar announced he was writing a book on Hinduism and that when it was finished he would formally convert to Buddhism. He twice visited Burma in 1954, the second time to attend the third conference of the World Fellowship of Buddhists in Rangoon. In 1955, he founded the Bharatiya Buddha Mahasabha or the Buddhist Society of India. In 1956, he completed his final work, The Buddha and His Dhamma, which was published posthumously. Ambedkar organized a formal public peace ceremony for himself and his supporters in Nagpur on 14th October 1956, accepting the 3 refugees and 5 precepts from a Buddhist monk in the traditional manner. Ambedkar completed his own conversion along with his wife. He then proceeded to convert some 5 lakh of his supporters who were gathered around him. He prescribed the 22 oaths for his converts. After the 3 jewels of 5 prescripts, he then traveled to Kathmandu, Nepal to attend the 4th World Buddhist Conference. Since 1948, Ambedkar had diabetes. He remained in bed from June to October in 1954 due to medication side effects and poor eyesight. His health worsened during 1955, 3 days after completing his final manuscript, The Buddha and His Dharma. Ambedkar died in his sleep on 6th December 1956 at his home in Delhi. A Buddhist cremation was organized at Dadar Chowpatty Reach on 7th December, attended by half of million grieving people. A conversion program was organized on 16 December 1956 so that cremation attendees were also converted to Buddhism at the same place. His message to his followers was educate, agitate, organize. Ambedkar said in 1935 that he was born a Hindu but would not die a Hindu in annihilation of caste. Ambedkar claims that the only lasting way a true casteless society would be achieved is through destroying the belief of the sanctity of the Sahastras and denying their authority. Ambedkar viewed the Sudras as Aryans and adamantly rejected the Aryan invention theory, describing it as so absurd that it ought to have been long ago. In his 1946 book, Who Were the Sudras?, Ambedkar viewed Sudras as originally being part of the Kshatriya Varna in the Indo-Aryan society but became socially degraded after they inflicted many tyrannies on Brahmins. Ambedkar disputed various hypotheses of the Aryan homeland being outside India and concluded the Aryan homeland was India itself. According to Ambedkar, the Rigveda says Aryans, Dasas and Dasyus were competing religious groups, not different peoples. So now next let us learn something about our constitution. The Indian constitution. The 309 member assembly reduced to 299 after the partition of India. Took almost 3 years to draft the constitution holding 11 sections of over a 165-day period. On 26th January, India celebrates Republic Day to honor the date on which the Constitution of India came into effect in 1950. It marks the transition of India from a British dominion to a sovereign democratic republic. This is the preamble of our Constitution. It says, "We, the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic and to secure to all its citizens justice, social, economic and political, liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith and worship, equality of status and of opportunity and to promote among them all fraternity, assuring the dignity of the individual and the unity and integrity of the nation. In our Constituent Assembly, this 26th day of November 1949, do hereby adopt, enact and give to ourselves this Constitution." The Assembly appointed Rajendra Prasad as its president, H.C. Mukherjee as its vice president and B.N. Rao as constitutional legal advisor. There were initially 3, not 5 members in total, which declined to 299 after partition. Out of the 389 members, only 292 were from government provinces, 4 from chief commissioner provinces and 93 from princely states. Drafting committee appointed with B.R. Ambedkar as its chairman. The other 6 members of committee were K.M. Munshi, Muhammad Sadhullah, Allaji Krishnaswamy Iyer, N. Gopalaswamy Iyengar, Devi Prasad Kaitan and B.L. Mitter. An objective resolution was presented by Jawaharlal Nehru, laying down the underlying principles of Constitution. This later became the preamble of the Constitution. The freedom of India was extremely expensive, as it came through the blood, toil, sweat and sacrifices of our freedom fighters. This Republic Day, let's remember them with all our heart. They are our real pride. 10 lines on Constitution of India. The Constitution is a framework document or a book of rules. The Constitution of India became effective on 26 January 1950. Presently it has 448 articles with 12 schedules after 104 amendments. It guides and makes the government system work smoothly. B.R. Ambedkar was the chairman of the drafting committee. The Indian Constitution influenced the Constitution of other countries. The Constitution emphasizes to secure to all its citizens justice, liberty, equality and fraternity. The Indian Constitution measures every citizen of India on the same scale. The Constitution has kept the judiciary as an independent body. The Constitution of India conveys a supremacy which the Parliament can't override. Along with Harendra Kumar Mukherjee, V.T. Krishnamachari was also elected as second Vice President of Constituent Assembly. Indian Constitution is one of the longest constitutions in the world. Indian Constitution is the only constitution that was handwritten in 2 languages, English and Hindi. The Constitution of India declared the country as a sovereign, socialist, secular and democratic republic. It took nearly 2 years, 11 months and 18 days to finish the Constitution of India. G.V. Malvankar was the first Speaker of the Lok Sabha. The lower house of parliament after India turned into a republic. So this is just the gist about the Indian constitution. There's many more people contributed to it. We must respect our country and our constitution. Thank you.